Bastards. Today I want to talk about waste and recycle, which is it's maybe I know it's perhaps not the most exciting topical like bug out bags or uh, self-defense or something else like that, but I consider it a very important part of prepping because waste is a huge problem today in this world. Imagine about how many foods, plastic, the food we throw away that could be eaten, like food that is not even expired yet, because that's another thing about, like, you have cans and they have like an expiring date, but uh, these many people throw this perfectly good food away because it's almost at the expiring date, but you can still eat it after even a long time after it's expired, as long as you keep it in a good storage. Why would they do that? Because the companies who make the food don't want to get sued. So when somebody eats something bad and they sue them, that's bad for business. So in the first place, they take a safe date for the expiring, so they are 100% sure it will not rot before it reaches the expiring rate, so nobody can sue them. Second thing is, they know people will throw them away even before the expiring date, so they have to buy again, even faster. So that's good for business, yet again. So you can still eat this after the expiring date, as long as it's like the packaging is not open, like cans. It didn't rust. There are no holes in it. If you watch the lid, when something's rotting, it will produce gases, and you will see the lid getting a little bulge in it. Also a sign that it's bad. So you have to actually think before you do actually take the consider the risk against the negative consequences. So it's up to your own judgment to know, can you eat it or can you not eat it, and not just blind believe what's on the thing. It's just a guideline. It's not 100% correct. It's what I'm trying to say. So this throwing away food can be expensive. So that's a way to reduce cost, and that's actually one of the points I want to make about recycling and waste. It costs a lot of money when you waste. I'm trying to recycle as much as I can. So just to save on costs for throwing things away, the like garbage bags, or getting it getting rid of it, and to save money, because some things you can reuse and some things you can sell actually, like metals or bottles for statiegeld, they call it here. I don't know what is the English name, deposit money, I think. So, but whatever. Some things you can sell for a little bit money. It maybe not seems a lot much, but many small things make a large thing. This is one of the ways I can save a lot of money, so I can work less, because I'm planning to work 4/5 instead of full time, and this is one of the ways I can achieve that goal actually. So maybe some sacrifices like time or effort, but it will save on money, and that's actually what will empower you to do more things for yourself. You take matters in own hands. You save money. You get some money, and you do not get more dependent on the grid or the system. And that's the thing what a prepper or wants, to be more self-sufficient and not to depend on others. So, what's next? Another example, glass. I probably will have forgotten in the small little videos I made previously for all these clips, but I probably forgot to say, when you have glass that you cannot sell for like full bottles or to reuse like cans, you can throw this away free for in those recycling bins for glass. So I probably forgotten about that. So Recycling, very important. Not only for humans and your own financial situation, but also for the environment. Imagine the middle of the oceans, how many there are mountains of islands of plastics just wailing around, and those plastics will melt, will start to degrade into microplastics. It will get into the sea life, the plants, and again, we catch those fish, we eat them, and we get those microplastics into our system, which is also very bad. So it's in your own interest to try to recycle more and more, which is another topic, because even when you bring stuff to recycle to certain points, like these recycle programs, or just when the garbage companies say we are going to recycle this much of it, I'm skeptical about it, because we all know a lot of the waste we make, they just send it to poor countries who will get stuck with it, or through some loopholes, so companies will get their hands off those waste, and they will just bring it to people in some loophole to just burn it. So that's why I'm skeptical about the progress, about the plans, the project, the progress they claim to make about recycling all of our waste. I don't think that it's going to help. It will help some, but not on the scale that they promise us. They're lying to us on a lot of ways, I believe. So, what you can do as as your own person, you can be a little bit more conscious and take more responsibility to help against the problem. If we all begin, it will reduce the plastic and will be better for ourselves, our environment, and our system at all. So you will now probably see a lot of clips about certain things I use to renew, recycle products, things I use, food, and other things. So by the power of editing, you will now see all the recycled clips. You can recycle your paper, your waste paper and carton into bricks that you can use as fuel for your fire, barbecues, or heating, or whatever, or just to cook. And what do you need to recycle it into fuel bricks? 2 buckets. That's actually all you need. So what do? You have first the regular bucket, just nothing special. I would advise to get a handle on that one. Then you get a second bucket. The second bucket must fit into the first bucket. It's very important. And in the second bucket, you drill holes all around it, so water can leak out of it. So you got all your paper, your carton, you put them in the second bucket that is in the first bucket. Then you put it full with water to the top, and then when you're done, you will see the water that is in the mixing. You let it stand in for perhaps 1-2 weeks, and it will turn into a sort of paper mache. Then when you get it out, you see it will run out of it. So you can see, like I did, I had a mistake of putting the holes in the sides, but that was just to let it dryer quicker. So that's why I'm gonna put this between. Put this on. Now all the water will drain out of the first bucket and into the second bucket, so you can reuse most of the water for a second batch. So what will now happen, all the water will, because it's so moist and loose because of the mixing for weeks, the paper mache will let the water easily go through the holes. When it's all the water is out, you let it dry, and when it's finally dry after a few weeks, you will cut it in bricks, and then you can use it as a source of fuel, as fuel bricks for your barbecue, heating, cooking, or something else. So that's a way to recycle all of your paper and carton. So, going to the next. The compost box, a must-have for everybody who keeps a garden. I would say just the grass the grass you cut or mowed, leftovers from your food, and other natural waste. You can put this in this, let it compost, and then when it's summer or spring, you can start fertilizing your garden with it. So that's a handy way to recycle some of the waste. That is the bucket I use to ferment my stoke, what I use to stoke alcohol with. You can use things like potato, the how do you say it? The peel of the potatoes, or like pieces of apple, or mashed potatoes, and leftover sugar and other things that can be fermented into alcohol. You can make it. It will, if you just put it all together, you will get just a messy alcohol. So beware of what leftovers you put inside of this, and if it's not gone bad already, so there are no bad bacteria growing inside of your alcohol, which can kill the how do you say it, the yeast that will turn the sugars into alcohol. So beware of that when you try to recycle for alcohols. Another way to get rid of your leftovers that you cannot eat, just feed them to the chickens. They're happy with it, gives them health, and you don't waste anything to put it in the garbage can. The eggs, I always keep them in boxes that my family or friends are left over. I put my leftover eggs that I cannot always eat eggs, so sometimes I put them back into the egg carton and give it to family or friends who want some fresh eggs that I don't use. So that's a way to recycle some of that money from other people's waste. When you're done with the egg, you can crush this scales of the egg in very tiny pieces, crumble it, even almost powder it, and you can mix it with the grain or other food you give to your chickens, so they get more calcium and have harder eggshells for when they are hatching, laying eggs. So that's a way to recycle the eggshells. You can also put it into your compost box, but if you have chickens, that's a way you can reuse it for harder and better eggs. The feathers that you have probably left over from the chickens, or perhaps you have gone hunting and you caught a pigeon or a pheasant, you can reuse the feathers to make arrows from. What you just do is, with a fine knife, you cut the arrows in the middle of the pen. You can color them, like you can see with this feathers on your arrow. You can glue it to it. You can glue it to it, and you can make your own arrows with, if you have the right, you find the right sticks. How do you say it? Right, you might find the right wood to make the sticks, and you have arrow points. So that's another way to recycle. You can also reuse the how do you say it? Dons, like the little fluffy feathers. You can pluck it from the pens, and you can stuff a pillow with it. So that's also a way to reuse those fine feathers. So, rainwater. You can collect your rainwater by just putting a drain or a barrel and connected to the draining pipes, which comes from the roofs. This is from several roofs, comes together in one, and it gets into the barrel. What I did is I put a draining system, which is like a keg, will catch always some water on the sides, but when it's overflowing, it goes back up into the regular sewer system or the place that you choose to let excess water flow. There will be always water go into the barrel, and I connected, like you can see, the barrel to my toilet, my water closet of my toilet. So I can pump water just from the inside out of the barrel, and so I don't have to use water from the collective, from the supply to flush my toilet. This is the pump from outside that leads to the barrel which catches the rain. So I can pump it manually with a hand pump inside of the water closet. This is the inside from the outside image. So to give you a good picture on how to recycle for your water closet in your toilet. Yet again, the rainwater coming from our roof into the barrels, and this is the area I use for my garden. So what I do with these barrels, in one barrels is connected like with the other barrel with a piece where it can flow regularly. The overflow will go away, but it always catches something into the barrel. This barrel fills up and then fills up the second barrel. The second barrel is also connected with the other, and so I always have, I reuse the water I get for my garden. So the trusty Berkey filter, like I earlier said in one of my videos, I said I use this for my drinking water. Use rainwater, put it in the top. It will drip through the filter to the pure filter stones underneath, and you will always have drinking water that will clean everything from viruses, bacteria, other pathogens to metals, and even medicine, even that they cannot filter out of the water cleaning centrals. So, and even nuclear particles from a certain alpha rain to say. So you can still filter water and reuse rainwater from the roofs, even from the roofs where perhaps a little bit of lead can be in it, or just rainwater from your garden or a pond. So you reuse rainwater for drinking, or you can even use this for hygienic things like cleaning wounds, brushing your teeth, washing your hands. So that's a good way for recycling rainwater into clean, drinkable water. So guinea pigs. Well, when I cut grass, or family have cut their grass, be sure that they never use chemicals like weed killers onto the grass. You can take the grass, dry it in the summer, or directly use it so they get their water through eating grass and give it to the guinea pigs. It's a great way to get rid of your grass. You can also do this with chickens, so that's a way to get rid of your grass when you do not want have a garden to compost it. So that's also a way. Another use for the guinea pigs to recycle is, of course, when you have eaten them, you can use their fur for making clothing, or perhaps some money when times are hard. But it's just when you have animals and you use them for food sources, you have to use everything of the animal to respect it when its time has come so far. So very important to use everything of the animals that you keep. This is the box I use to leave all my metals in, like cans. Cans will take the most place, so you have to crush them with your foot, or perhaps some device. You have to crush it so small as possible. Put it inside of the box. I also throw in my crowns of my bottles, or some metals I have left from doing repairs, like vices, nails that are not useful anymore. I throw them all in, and at the end of the year, it's usually full, a little bit heavy, and I go to the iron merchant or the scrap yard to sell it for some money. I find it's better to reuse this, even if it's not a lot of money, because otherwise you will buy plastic trash bags or garbage, and you pay to throw it away, which I find a waste and unnecessarily on that way. So keep all your metals and sell it on the end of the year. You can keep bigger things of metals. Mine are already away to the scrapyard, but bigger things of metals like frames or something, like a device, pick it apart and sell it on the end of the year to the scrapyard for some money. Reuse candle. You can reuse a can, like just a soda can, cut it open, and you can make an improvised lamp for it. The inside will reflect more light, so from a single flame. So you can use it that way. And the other half, you can cut it open, put a roll newspaper in it, pour it with wax, and you have, I'm not going to light it now, but you'll have a big candle fire, so you can use it for cooking, keep something warm, mini heater, and light. I would not advise to use this inside of a closed space, but just a way to reuse a candle. A can. Spent ammo cases, you can just keep this, reuse this to make new ammo when you have the right tools, the weight to make gunpowder, which is also used for keeping charcoal in your home. You can reuse to make more bullets, and when you have lead or something else to make ammo, or you can sell it just to an iron merchant or a scrapyard seller. You can get more the kilo for spent messing or copper. So there's also a way to reuse these things. For sodas and beer, I always buy in glass bottles instead of sometimes cans when I don't have the time, but I try to use as much bottles as I can. Why? Because there is less waste, so I use less plastic garbage bags, and I can use the crown corks from the bottles for my metal that I sell at the end of the year, and it tastes better, to be honest, out of glass than plastic or metal bottles or cans. So that's and when you deliver them in, you get some money. You spend some money to buy them extra, perhaps, but you get money back from delivering them in. So I find it a good way that promotes you to recycle bottled drinks. So recycling, you can keep the jars or bottles that you have left over, and you can reuse them. You clean them out and you use them to put food, to store food in it for your pantry, like canning or other ways, like salt or pickle them into glass jars. The same goes for the alcohol, and I still have here some, like you can see, some alcohol left, and I can reuse them, reuse the bottles to fill it with alcohol to later distillate or to make drinking or disinfecting alcohol from it, or to clean. So you can reuse the bottle, all jars, and the leftovers from cooking, like grease, olive oil, or other oils. I keep them in bottles, and I can reuse them to make improvised candles, like you can see in this one. You can see it gives quite a flame, just a jar, hold through it a wick, and you have an improvised candle with made out of the leftovers from your grease. It's not advised to put it to use it in your home because it gives, like you can see, some black smoke, so it's more for like in the garden or in a garage to light or decorate without costing like real candles. So that's a way to reuse your grease and oil for other purposes. These are the leftovers from candles that are spended. You have all these the lower surfaces without the wick. So I would suggest to buy like cases full of wicks, if you can see it correctly, and you can melt all the leftover from the candles, put them into a mold, put a wick inside of it, and you can reuse that wax to make new candles. So you don't have to throw this away, and you reuse it for perhaps just candles for light, or you can use it to make tiny cookers. Like you can pour the wax now inside of a half can with a rolled piece of newspaper, pour it into the holes, and you have like a big candle to make an improvised cooking fire for like a little campfire stove. So that's a way to reuse candle wax. Another thing you can do with wax is actually use it for waxing the jars so air won't get in easily. That's another use for leftover wax from your spent candles. These are the ashes and char coal left from previous fires I made, camping fires or little fires I made at my home. You can do several things with these leftovers. The ash you can use on condition that it's not dirty with chemicals or something else. You can use the ash for as a sort of fertilizer for your lawn or your vegetables. Just something you can use for that. The pieces of char, like you can see, you can use this for several things actually. You can you can whiten and clean your teeth with it. I know, maybe sounds bad, but when the shit hit the fan and there are no ways to get toothpaste and other ways to clean your teeth, you can use charcoal. You can also reuse this as a kit to make a tundle for when you want one on a bug out or you want to make a new fire. You can use this as a tundle to start or grow the fire. You can also use it to make activated charcoal with it. So you can use it as to make an improvised filter for purifying water with it. So those are some uses from leftover fires. These are all just little wooden pieces or papers I always keep to start a fire, like little pieces of paper, sticks to clean your teeth, or from making satay as a dish, and little boxes like match boxes. This you can use to start over a fire, or to train yourself with making fire from just some waste you had. So that's also a good way to recycle the little things. Reuse wood from repairs or something that you built. All the leftovers, be creative and try to reuse it in some other project. Like I had leftover over from making the cages for my guinea pigs and my chickens. So with the leftovers, I made in the corner a bench in my porch. So I did not have to waste it and I can still reuse the same place with the use of sitting places for more people. Like you can see, it has hinges on it, so I can open it and get and hide stuff underneath it that are safe from the sun and also from sight. So that's a good way, innovating or a creative way to get rid of or reuse your waste from other repairs or building projects. So leftovers woods from things you've broken off, repairs or other projects that involve wood. I would not throw them away immediately because I have plates, I have pieces of wood. Be careful when there are nails in it. And also wood I got from friends, family, or things I'm allowed to take away from work which would otherwise be thrown away. Like I work in wood, so I can sometimes cut some leftovers wood in pieces. I always try to do it in smaller pieces that I can easily chop into smaller pieces of use as bigger pieces that are not too big for fires to cook in times of need. I always store them in boxes, so the boxes get wet and dry, and the wood always stay the most dry inside of it. So I have here a year's supply of wood by regularly taking from family, friends, work, or from neighbors wood that they don't use anymore. So when times are hard and there's an energy crisis, I can at least go a year on with cooking food and water whenever I need it. So recycle that, keep it in store. Here I store it under my garden houses, so it doesn't take much room, and it's safer from like when I barbecue in the middle of my cour, or where I keep my garden. I don't have to have the risk that some little burning pieces fly away into the wood, which could be a hazard. So normally it cannot be burned. That's why I also keep it in carton boxes, which are a little bit moist, so they don't catch fire as fast as they would be as with regular wood. That would dry faster than carton, which holds the moist a little bit. So that's another way to recycle some leftovers. So yet again, under my garden hoses, I keep some things that are leftover from people or myself that I don't use anymore, like roof tiles, pipes, metal as stone, and regular stones and bricks. I would never, when I have leftovers, just put them away in container park or some other waste disposal, because when something's broken, or because of a storm or something else, and your roof is broken, or some pieces are off, or you have to do some repairs because a car drove into a wall of your house or something else, you can repair it when shops are not available or it's too expensive because it's a financial problem. So always keep building materials in your house for projects or repairs for emergency. A cell phone that is probably has been aging, or perhaps some of the buttons or the screen don't work as well for everyday use. But I always would suggest to keep your old phone loaded, the battery loaded, but put it off and check it regularly, like once a month or something. Do it on a checklist. Why? Because even though it doesn't have a SIM card or some other provider thingy, well, you can still call for help with it. Like you can call the police, an ambulance, or the fire department, because every mobile device has that option. Even though you lost the code, you cannot put in the code to unlock it, but every cell phone can still use it. So I would suggest to keep it in your car or in your home, or perhaps in the desk at your work, for when your regular phone doesn't work, or the battery is down, or you don't have enough credit to call for help. So that's just a way to recycle an old phone. In the best case, when it doesn't work anymore, you can try to sell it for the precious metals that are in it, where that's kind of difficult to find. But I mean, there are perhaps people who will give something, at least something, for an old phone to get precious metals out of it. So another way of recycling is using machines and household tools that still can that you can use over and over again. Like here are some examples that can save a lot of money because you can still reuse the machine years and years. A lot of these things are still from my grandfather or other people who had these machines. So, like, just simple things like a hand drill without a motor. Imagine how many hand drills with a battery one have used. Okay, it will take longer when you have to crank it and push your shoulder against it to make a hole, but this thing is like, I think, 50 years old right now and still works properly. How many people can say that about electric drill? Like I told in the previous videos, the tondeuse to cut your hair, the razor. Imagine how many shaving machines one have gone through and paid so much money for it. And these things, for my grandfather, still work, and I still do, and probably my children one day will hopefully use it too. And mechanical weight. When you don't have an electric scale, you can use this as a hook to measure it. I know people who have bought a lot of scales because the batteries were down or the electrical parts were broken because they put too much weight on it. This thing, 30 years, still works, no problem. Next, yeah. This may be not really necessary, but I found it really cool to use. It's one of those LP playing machines. Just with a mechanical, you turn it a dozen times, and you have for like a few minutes music. And the fun thing is, you can take this all apart. It's completely mechanical, and I can still play songs with it on a mechanical way, like Sabaton, like now. So that's kind of awesome, I think. Not necessarily, but just a way to reuse instead of buying electrical players or radios or something. So just a way for in a shit hit the fan situation to still have some music. Like I just showed in the video about how to wash in off-grid situations, my trusty washing plunger, how old was it? 78 years old, I think it was, and still functions the same way as it did on the first day. So that's also a way to reuse it. Imagine how many washing machines people have gone through in their lifetime or had to repair it. This thing works without a hic. This is one of those saws to cut something beneath a certain angle. It's just mechanical. It's difficult to do with one hand, but it just slides up and down without any electrical parts. So that's kind of useful to do some little repairs. And as the last thing, the thing where it stands on, the Singer sewing machine. It's with a pedal to put your foot on. This was from my grandfather. Still works. It's still in a good condition, so that's the thing. You have to maintain all these parts with some oil or grease, and clean it regularly. So that's all you have to do to keep this thing working for decennia. It's very easy to use and still works on many things. So I know people who had a lot of sewing machines that had a lot of plastic particles and broke easily, or the electrical things were fried or something. With this, it's all pure metal, wood. You can repair things very easily on your own. So renewable machines is also a way of recycling, in my opinion. I forgot one thing about reusable machines, which can be a very cost-effective way, is just a mechanical typewriter machine. This thing is very old. I must admit, I have to repaired it myself 2 times, but you cannot say the same thing about when you have to use a printer or a computer for writing your letters. It perhaps takes some time, some training, to get used to it, but I can write small papers like posits and even big papers for letters or documents I have to send. So just a way to recycle machines and other means. Like I said before, you can also reuse, find other purposes for things you might need, but not directly. Like I told in the video about medical preparedness, that I use my wheelchair as a desk chair. Well, that's a way you can use it for in case when you for the moment that you don't need it, but you still want to get a use out of it. So that's also a way of recycling things that you probably someday perhaps need, but not in the now. So that is the drawer I keep my tiered clothes or clothes that are broken or not used anymore. I put them in here, and when I have need for some cloth to repair or to make other projects from it, or little bags or something else, I can use this to sew and or even knit or reuse pieces of cloth, clothing, perhaps bags for other projects. So waste not, want not. This is a drawer where I keep my broken electronic cables and equipment. Why? Because I can still reuse some of the parts when I have a project that needs some electrical parts. I can use circuits, wires, and other things from the other electronics, and reuse them to make something else. I cannot name something I done recently, but when the time is there, you will be glad you have some electronic parts you can use to repair other electronical devices that you might have and cannot buy new or just throw it away right yet. So always try to repair things yourself on a safe way, and when you know what you actually do. This might sound stupid for a project that is called recycle, but when you have space open in the direction of the sun, you can put some mobile solar panels there, and reuse the sunlight that you otherwise not use in that specific area. So just an idea for some recyclable sunlight, if that makes any sense. This is just wave. How do you call one of these things? Hand cooler. I will call it. I don't know what the name is. You can type it in the reactions if you would like to help me with that. But this is when it's very hot in the summer. Imagine how many cooling devices like ventilators and air conditioning someone has gone through in their lifetime. This thing, as long as you are careful, like it's made out of sturdy materials like wood or metal. These are plastic, to be honest, but they were broken and I could repair them, which I cannot say about a certain ventilator I had in the past. So when it's warm, just cool it. Costs no electricity, and you can still use it on your personal whenever you want it, and it's easy to repair. So I call that a kind of renewable source of cooling in this case. So yet again, this might sound stupid or obvious, but I just want to include this. To do your dishes, I know a lot of people who have dishwashers, like these big machines, and I do not consider it renewal, even if they advertise them as green or use less energy. I find it more renewable to use just simple things like you can use real bars of soap, put them into flocks, put them into hot water, and let the soap mix with the water so you get soapy water. Just a towel and some copper metal sponge, and you can do all the dishes you can with a minimal of things. So I consider that recycle and renewable than a real washing machine. Might sound obvious, but I just want to include it in your home preparedness plans. This might sound stupid, but you can use go around the neighborhood and find things like thrown away cans or other valuable pieces, like throw away bottles for deliver them in to get some money, the cans and other metal things for the scrapyard. So I don't say you have to do this, but it's an easy way to recycle, clean up the area, and get a little bit of money also with it. Like when you go on a walk and you gather some cans or bottles, deliver them in to make some extra cash when times are hard. So that's also a way to. This is the plastic, the garbage bag for plastic. There is actually, this is one of the things you cannot recycle on your own. So I would always suggest to buy as least plastic as possible. And yeah, I want these bags. Some people are using several of them a week. With all the recycling I'm trying to do, I have to throw it away one bag every 3 months. So in case you want to recycle it necessarily, like I would not suggest this to do every in regular day, but when you're in a difficult situation, like the garbage trucks are not coming, like they're on strike, financial problems, or a shit hit the fan situation, I would it's perhaps possible to squash it and use it as a source of fuel, because plastic is made out of oil essentially. But beware, you can only do this when there is no other fuel site and you have the room to do it, because it will give a lot of toxic smoke. It's a way to use it when you're desperate, but I would not recommend it. So those are the ways I try to recycle or renew all the things that most of the things that I use. I still throw something in garbage bags because I cannot recycle them myself. But like batteries, plastic, and other things that are twisted with plastics within, but still have some paper perhaps. But nonetheless, I try as much as I can, and I hope by seeing this video, you will try yourself to recycle too. Give power to yourself. Be not dependent on other people's. Like when the garbage men were striking in Italy, in Naples, I think, we saw in 3 days mountains to the second floor even of garbage bags, because a few days or a week the garbage men were striking. Imagine what it would be in a shit hit the fan situation. So not only for everyday life, but also to prepare for disaster or long-term problems, or even to improve your financial means. Just try to recycle. That's all what I try to say. So thank you for watching. Leave a comment, perhaps subscribe or something. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Cheers.